Hi, I'm Jolie Abraham, and this is Sean McNall, and he's playing Hamlet in the last show of the seasons, Wittenberg.
I've done the part now. I did it when I was 19.
Right. Wow.
I did it again when I was 25, I suppose, and I guess I was close to 30 when we did it. And you know, you do it at different points in your life, and different things have different resonances for you, and you have different abilities. So I've lived with the character a very long time, so I feel a real kinship to a lot of his dilemmas. You know? I mean, that's the greatness of the play anyway, is that, you know, a lot of people, Harold Bloom in particular, credit Shakespeare with creating the human being. You know, Hamlet, who's this first fully dimensional, living, breathing...
Like literary character.
Yeah, literary character. So there are so many ways in which you can relate to the character, so that's why all men want to play the part, really. It's really about the fact that it just speaks to a man of a certain age because of all of the crises that he goes through, and also because of everyone aspires to be as humble as he is when he is humble, as funny as he is when he is funny, as as vigorous as he is. He's sort of all things. You know, and, it's great to live in that.
So can you speak to us a little bit about the similarities and differences of those two Hamlets that you're playing?
Yeah, I would say that my understanding, and you can learn a lot more from watching David talk about the play, is that his primary question is, how did Hamlet arrive at the kind of person he was, so that the circumstances of Shakespeare's play would force him to do what he did? And so he answered those questions for himself, and, you know, in a comic way, I would say, and I would not broad necessarily, but very comically sharp way. So he really focuses on the question of Hamlet's indecision, first and foremost. That's an important aspect of it. And he doesn't necessarily focus on it as a negative attribute, but it speaks to his youth as a person who is trying to find something in the world, who has a tremendous intellect and potential, but is unresolved, which is very attractive to the other two characters in the play, who see great potential in him and want to, you know, have a chance to, in a way, possess that mind that he has, and that's Luther and that's Faustus. Well, there's a lot of humor that comes out of his dilemma in Shakespeare's Hamlet. This is a comedy, and if you embrace too much of the tragedy of the real play, it starts to weigh down what otherwise might be potential for lightness. You know? Because more than anything else, what you want to see is, who was Hamlet before this thing occurred to him, before his father died, and before he felt like, you know, before he was called on to revenge his father's death? Where were the light spots? You get a sense of it when he talks to the player king about what his life was like before, or you see his relationship with Horatio. There seems to have been a clown there. There seems to have been love there and generosity there, and you don't get to see too much of it in the play itself. And in this play, it's sort of peppered throughout that kind of wide-eyed spirit and energy that you would have expected. And there are long speeches in the play that are written entirely in iambic pentameter. So, of course, those particular pieces, the benefit of working through them and learning about the inner life of the character. And he wisely has sort of made all of the moments in which a reveal of the character is made in those kinds of pieces of text. So that's great. But this is a tricky one because obviously the character doesn't exist on his own merits in the play. I mean, you have to allow the play itself and this playwright's particular view of Hamlet to inform how you're going to approach it. But he's constantly referring through a matrix to the play itself and to all of Shakespeare's work. So you have to kind of bring some of the elements of what you know Hamlet is, or who Hamlet is, to the play and see what this particular playwright, what his take is on the character, and then allow those things to have focus. So it's a combination of my previous work on the role and what Davalos thinks about it.